A Business Money Collection Guide. Chapter 1. Offer good customers credit. Retail Financial Services. Retail financing services started out as third-party services for retail businesses that took care of the business financing arrangements with customers, giving loans as with a car loan, giving out the business's credit cards, but have evolved to also offer services like insurance, payroll management, etc. Start an account with a retail financing service and you can offer loans to your customers through them. This works best for big-ticket products. Allfirst.com, ANSI.org, BancoNE.com, Business Program. CAPCO.com/content/retail-financial-services. CashZone.com, Chase.com, CityFinancial.com, Retail Services Program. CityFinancial.com/retailservices/retailservices.php. CityRetailServices.com. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/financial_services. ey.com/global/content.nsf/uk/fs_library_RFSM, the Ernst & Young Retail Financial Services Monitor. Financial.wellsfargo.com/retailservices. geconsumerfinancing.com. Household.com, Household Business Program. hsbcusa.com/retailservices. jhancock.com. Morevisibility1.com. rctanalytics.com. retailfinancial.net. retailfinancialservices.biz. retailfinancialservices.com. wallstreetantech.com/asset-management. Give credit to good customers. If you do a lot of business with certain customers or other businesses, you could offer them a credit application, check them out through a credit reporting agency, and if they're credit-worthy, give them the product and 30 days or so to pay it off. Chapter 2. Getting your money. Getting paid info. There is a middle ground between being paranoid about getting ripped off and realizing that businesses you're supplying need time to sell your product before they can pay you. You have to give 30 days credit to your big clients. Establish clear, written payment terms that are printed on your estimate forms, contracts, work orders and invoices. By signing them, they are agreeing to the payment terms. If you have to sue them, you have all the evidence you need. Don't give credit upfront. Ask for payment upfront until you get to know your customers. For big orders over $500, tell them they have to pay a 35% deposit before you do any work to ensure they won't leave you hanging. For really big jobs, make up an intermittent progress payment schedule. They pay you as you do work. Eliminate credit for customers who are erratic in paying you. Collecting accounts receivable. 1. Accounts receivable is the money customers owe you. Most companies offer credit to their business customers with a 30-day grace period. This is the standard way businesses deal with each other on a regular basis. As a good business owner, you have to get this money as quickly as you can without coming off like a pest and alienating your business customers. But on the other hand, if you constantly have problems collecting money in a timely manner with particular customers routinely going over the 30-day rule and don't pay up, if you can handle the loss of business, it is sometimes better to drop poor customers rather than bother with the hassle of always worrying about when they will pay you. If you have a regular customer that pays a little late, you might let it slide. Many customers pay late because they know they can get away with it. It all depends on your business, your particular product and your customers. If you supply something scarce that's difficult for customers to get elsewhere in the same price range, you can afford to be arrogant with a pay up promptly attitude or get lost. If you sell generic products they can get anywhere, you probably have to walk on eggshells and take their arrogant attitudes of late payments. With retail types of business, it's cash or credit cards. Cash is better because of the fees credit card service companies charge and the delay in actually getting the money they've charged up on credit card purchases. When dealing with business customers on 30-day credit, make sure that the invoice is mailed very early as soon as the goods are shipped. Many people think it is no big deal to neglect accounts receivable until bills are collectible. This is bad cash flow policy. Send out automatic monthly statements of what your customers owe and what their late fee and interest fees are. Offer prompt payment discounts. If they pay in full within 10 business days of the date on the invoice, knock 1.5, 3, 5 or 10% off the bill. Clearly put this on every invoice so they know they have that option. Some businesses operate on low margins, meaning it's very difficult to pay you promptly even if they want to, because they have to pay their workers and their immediate bills then pay you, which often doesn't take precedence until near the end of the month. Develop an efficient accounts receivable policy to get your money from your customers as quickly as possible. Make sure you're dealing with reputable customers. Make your bills simple so there's no ambiguity in what the customer owes. Make it simple for the customer to pay and try to get an electronic funds transfer system for regular customers so they can pay with a phone call or by an automatic debit from their account rather than by sending a check in the mail. You should hire an outside accountant or accounting firm to figure your return on your investment as well as the turnover on your accounts receivable and inventory. Such an audit or survey should focus in depth on any or every item within your financial statement that merits special attention. In this way, you will probably uncover any potential financial problems before they become readily apparent and certainly before they could get out of hand. Instruct your bank to automatically deposit returned checks. Ask your bank if they offer return item box service. If they do, then use it to redeposit your check and charge back the bank return item free to your customer. These steps are tough and unrelenting, but they may make the difference between a positive cash flow month and a sluggish month for your business. It may seem a bit hypocritical in light of my suggestion about paying your debt slowly if cash flow is low, but this is the way the game works. If your customer orders custom-made products or services that you do specifically for them, it's perfectly appropriate to ask for at least the cost of the materials upfront in case they default and leave you with stuff you'd be hard-pressed to sell anywhere else. Some companies have a regular policy of an upfront 50% payment with all orders. Mail order type businesses with a lot of incoming checks may want to consider a lockbox arrangement with a bank as discussed in another section. You give the bank access to your business postal box. They send a courier around daily or even twice a day to pick up the mail and immediately deposit all checks in the box. In summary, have your accounts receivable system in place. Do credit checks. Weed out the bad customers and get rid of them rather than put up with the hope that they will pay you what they owe. Many won't. If you know you have money coming in but need money, sometimes you will need a bank loan to tie you over. For accounts payable, use some stalling techniques to pay near the end of your 30-day grace period, but try to be an upstanding business person, especially if you need the product. You will most likely not get credit for the first little while anyway. Be wary of getting a bad credit rating. As a new business, try to establish a good credit rating by paying your bills. If you have a business in either Canada or the US and do a lot of business in the other country, it will be wise to open a business account in the foreign currency in order to hedge against the regular fluctuations of currency. Collecting accounts receivable too. You need a good system for taking in money such that it's easy for customers to you. You always have liquid cash around when you need it to pay your bills and run the business. Develop an efficient, organized system for sending out invoice statements and collecting money. Send monthly or bi-monthly statements to all open accounts. Every month, develop a system to put all your outstanding accounts receivable together and personally call these people, telling them you need the money. This will weed out the slackers who you don't want to business with anyway. You need a firm systematic procedure to follow up slow accounts that is effective. You have to get the message across that if they don't pay in a reasonable amount of time, you don't care how much of a major customer they are to you. If they don't pay up expeditiously, you don't want to deal with him. You don't need the headache, you won't sell to them unless they pay their bill within the month, the customary standard for business-to-business dealings. Use the telephone to contact delinquent accounts, Write a letter of confirmation following all collection calls. Have a late payment penalty or interest charge, and tack it on the bill. Try to retain the goodwill of your customers in your collection procedures, but it's a two-way street. If he abuses your goodwill to him by using cheap tricks to avoid paying, screw him. Cut him off and send his account to a collection agency, credit bureau, and to your lawyer. A lot of business owners don't particularly like to take credit cards or checks because they take several days to a month to clear, but I say a sale is a sale. If it will increase sales, why not take personal checks for purchases under $50 from people you know who come in regularly? Using credit cards is one thing. You will get your money, the question is when, but extending credit personally to your major business and retail customers can be risky because if they default, you've got no recourse but small claims or civil court, which is a headache, and quite often, the time spent trying to collect your money that way is not worth the judgment and the further hassles of collecting the money based on the judgment, so the solution is to nip it in the bud. Run a tight ship, offer very limited payment options. They get a discount for early payment, penalty for late payment, and any payment over 7 days overdue means you stop shipping them product until they pay up. Make up a standard form for credit applications with the aid of your lawyer. Run credit checks on people who want credit. Some business owners knock 5% off the price if the business customer pays by cash. Put it on your invoices. COD sales are bad overall because by the time the merchandise gets to the customer, many have changed their minds and send it back. If somebody places an order for custom-made stuff that will take several days to fulfill, get an upfront deposit so they don't leave you hanging with you having done something then them not coming to pay for it. Put the payment terms and time limit for payment clearly on invoices, statements, and credit contracts. Prepare and mail invoices promptly on a regular basis. State payment terms clearly. Study the credit terms your competitors use and learn from them. Try to offer better terms than them without being a sucker by offering credit to people who will never pay you back. Take a course to learn credit and collection techniques. Dun & Bradstreet at dnb.com have one. So does SBA.gov. Debt arbitration/debt settlement/avoid bankruptcy. Debt arbitrators collect money owed to a business owner for a fee by contacting the debtor and offering them a deal like pay 50% and the debt is considered paid in full. In return for paying the debt, the person or company saves their credit report from getting a black mark. Some debt arbitrators go through a charade of having a hearing where both sides have their say, but the bottom line is that they are agents for the company owed money and want to collect at least part of it. Their leverage is to save the payer's credit record. If you owe money to someone and they hire a debt arbitrator to try to collect some of it, you can either make a deal to pay them something or they'll report your debt as a delinquent debt to the CRAs. If you owe someone money, make a pitch to them that you're willing to pay 40% of it if they're willing to mark it as paid in full in order to preserve your credit record. 4paydebt.com/debt-arbitration.php. abundancesolutians.net. adatoday.com. adatoday.com/tax.htm, American debt arbitration for your income tax. afalending.com/debt.help.html. amrealtygroup.com. bankrate.com/brink/green/cc/basics1-4a2.asp?5 arbitration clauses, a rights giveaway. bizcap.com/report/business-debt-arbitration.html. budhibs.com/m_worst_collection.htm, Budhibs helps America hold debt collectors to the law. Bernstein&Bernstein.com, Debt Recovery and Arbitration, Clearwater, Florida. BusinessDebtSolutions.com. Commercial-Intelligence.net, a commercial debt recovery company. ConsumerDebtGroup.com. ConsumerDebtRelief.com. ConsumerLaw.org/initiative/model/arbitration.html and CreditSoft.com, software. Credit-Solutions-USA.com. CS4U.cc. det.armorfinancialservices.net/debtoptions.php det-gon.com/arbitron.htm debtregret.com/arbitration.html detruptsi.com debt-settlement-inc.com debtsource.com debtsource.com/bankruptcy.php en.wikipedia.org/wiki/debt_arbitration familydebt.com, Family Debt Arbitration and Counseling Services, Nonprofit Assistance. Not available in ME, or, AL or VA. FamilyDebt.org. FreeCreditConsultation.com. iapta.org/debtmanager/debtmanager-software-information.php, Consumer and Business Debt Arbitration. KnockoutDebt.com, Los Angeles. KnockoutDebt.com/debt-glossary/debt-arbitration.aspx. KvisLLC.com. LawGuru.com. Lendgo.com/learn/tips/138.html. LowerMyBills.com/tips-advice/debt-negotiation.jsp. NDAinc4u.com. PhiladelphiaU.edu/admin-tf/_discussion/00000f22.htm. prohosting.com/adamsco/services.html. rojo.com. shopping-1st.com/arbitration.htm. strategiccapitalsolutions.com/debtarb.html. theedbtchannel.com. theedbtchannel.com/debt-arbitration.aspx. uscreditacademy.com/116.html. usmca.homestead.com/arbitration.html. Time tracking websites. Time tracking websites track your billable hours if you're a lawyer or do business by the hour for your services. ClickTime.com. Elite.com. FreeTimesheet.com. OpenAir.com. RedGorilla.com. TimEliger.com. Chapter 3. A Collection Agency Guide. Collection Agencies Info. If a collection agency won't negotiate with you and keeps hounding you, send them a cease communication letter telling them to stop via the provisions of the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act. They can only contact you once after that to tell you what further action they will take. This doesn't remove your debt, just gets the collection agency off your back. You still owe the creditor the money. If you want to lodge a complaint about a collection agency or credit card company, try the following. Collector.com, Association of Credit and Collection Professionals. FTC.gov, 877 FTC Help. You could hire the following companies to attempt to collect on money owed to you. CAJP.org, 661-664-0767, California Association of Judgment Professionals. Teleport.com/tilde-rich/collection.html, list of collection agencies. abccompanies.com. alliedcredco.com. collecto.com. finzisrich.com, collection agency based in Richmond, Indiana. dnbcollections.com. nes1.com. socalmall.com/asset forfaiture, 888-4 tcmgroup.com. American Collectors Association. POB 39106. Minneapolis, Minnesota 55439. 612-926-6547. Collector.com. Bill Collection Agencies. Professional Collector Magazine. Cadmus Custom Pub. 101 Huntington Avenue. 13th FL. Boston, Massachusetts 02199-7603. 617-424-7700. Fax. 617-437-7714. ProCollector@cadmusecustom.com. cadmusecustom.com. Debt buyers/second wave debt collectors. Bill collectors are often the company itself that owns the loan trying to collect from the debtor, but if they can't make headway with collecting it, they'll sell ownership of the defaulted loan for a low price to a debt buyer company who will then own the loan and try to collect what they can on it. These debt buyer companies are very aggressive in collecting on these defaulted loans. They say they don't break the law in trying to intimidate people, but they do because they know that most people are sheep and will allow themselves to be intimidated. Even though they risk being sued for their illegal intimidating actions, they figure they'll come out ahead and pay the fines when sued as a cost of business. Have a recorder on your phone so you can tape them when they use illegal tactics, then file a civil lawsuit against them for violating federal loan collecting laws. Find a local lawyer who specializes in actions against loan companies who violate federal credit and collection laws. Junk debt buyers are aggressive in trying to collect debt. Debt buyers are companies that buy the overdue and defaulted debt that consumers owe companies for pennies on the dollar, which gives them the legal right to go after the people who owe this debt even if it was discharged in bankruptcy or it was paid already. For the creditors, they're good because they get some money for loans that the company thinks it can't recover anyway. Debt buyers are very aggressive and use deceptive tactics. The FTC doesn't do much against them. They're so evil that some states are now starting to pass laws to rein them in. debtconsolidationcare.com/forum/debtbuyer-myths.html. 5 Miami companies that buy up unpaid debt and pressure consumers to pay it off are being targeted under a new state law. Alabama Consumer Law blog.com/collectorsdebt_buyers. mfi-miami.com/north-carolina-debt-buyers. debt.buick-r11.hostrader.com/top-junk-debt-buyers-seattle.html. creditcards.com/credit-card-news/bad-deal-settlement-deal-1265.php. expert-credit-advice.com/junk_debt.htm. fair-debt-collection.com/junk-debt-buyers.html. Consumer alert for junk debt buyers and debt collection concerns. If you are in debt or was once in debt, then you may be the target of a new collections company. Debt buyer websites. debtconnection.com, Debt Buyers Association. A resource for recovery managers, collection agencies, debt buyers, debt sellers, companies trying to sell their money due accounts. Debtbuyers.com. Collectorfind.com, find a collections agency for your business. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/debt_buyer. Debtmarketplace.com. unifund.com. debtsellers.us. dbainternational.org. webuicajudgments.com. collectionlawyers.com, representing debt buyers, California-based collection law firm with a nationwide presence. natap.org/hotline/dcbasics.html. creditmaxmarketing.com, technology for use in collecting debt. firstdetroit.com. insidearm.com. debtsearch.com. dbacan.ca, Canadian Debt Buyers Association. acainternational.org. debtbuyersmanagement.com, debt buying company. sagrisco.com, debt buyers. aeroglobal.net, debt buyers. Collect money owed to you. Don't ever co-sign for a loan unless you intend to pay it off. Maybe co-sign for your children but not for friends because they won't pay it. If you lend money, get a contract with a definite schedule of repayment. Apply the following information to both people and businesses. Before you give credit in a business, usually only to business customers as opposed to consumers, make them pay cash for a while to see how steady they are with that. Then you make them fill out a credit application which you pay the $10 or whatever it costs, or make them pay as part of the credit application just like landlords do to prospective tenants. To Equifax.com, 800-997-2493, TransUnion.com, 800-888-2493. 4213 or any another local credit reporting agency/CRA that you can find listed in your phone book and make your decision based on that. Do not go against a bad or mediocre credit report and give the guy a chance unless you got the word sucker tattooed on your forehead. You will regret it. Past behavior is the greatest indicator of future actions. People with bad credit rarely change. Why bother with giving them a chance? Stick with good clients only who pay their bills. Don't waste time on the rest. As an incentive to pay early, offer early payment benefits, 2% off the bill if paid within 30 days. Run credit checks on your clients every year or so because credit ratings change and you could spot something they aren't telling you. Either go see the person or politely call him or her and record the call. If that doesn't work, send 2 to 3 registered letters so you have proof of a paper trail. Barring that, either threaten to go to a collection agency or go to small claims court or civil court depending on the amount, pay about $20 to file the case, they will notify the defendant and you will go to court to hash it out in front of a judge with all your evidence like the recorded calls, letters, etc. That's about it. The best advice is don't lend money in the first place. If a friend asks you for money, tell him or her you've been through it before and you'd rather not have money come between the friendship, case closed. If they push, tell them good friends don't ask friends to loan them money. In business, a customer will fill out a credit application which you will check out by running him or her through a credit check through a credit reporting agency. You decide what standard of credit rating you will take on as a credit customer. Arrange monthly terms that the customer can handle. If you're performing a service, ask for a down payment and installment payments as you go along. Have a simple, easy to understand invoice. Provide 2 copies, one for them, one for you included with the payment. Have a statement giving a discount for early payment and penalty for late payment. You will find that most of your customers have the money to pay at least some of what they owe you immediately. To keep them current and the number of accounts receivable in your files to a minimum, you should call them on the phone and ask for some kind of explanation why they're falling behind. If you develop such a habit as part of your operating procedure, you will find your invoices will magically be drawn to the front of their piles of bills to pay. While maintaining a courteous attitude, don't be hesitant or too much of a nice guy when it comes to collecting money. One guy put the names of all people with past due accounts on his sign outside. Many paid up very quickly. There's a middle ground between being nasty to collect your money and losing a customer in the process, or being nice and maybe getting your money, maybe not. Be reasonable to a certain point, but if they blow you off with lies twice, they're a bad customer. Try to get your money then forget about them. On the other hand, if a customer usually pays on time but misses once or twice, let it slide until you see otherwise. Once the credit period has expired, generally 15 to 30 days, immediately send a duplicate statement with a stamp or sticker saying past due account. You can either buy software that prints out billing forms or billing forms at stationery stores. Give the customer the benefit of the doubt the first time because maybe he didn't get the bill the first time or was sick or something. Keep a friendly tone. If you charge interest and a penalty, put it on the bill so the customer can see it. If you make it a practice to bill your customer promptly, you will find that they are more apt to pay promptly. On the other hand, if you run your business in a slipshod manner, you will find your customers slipshod in their dealings with you. Should a customer fall behind in his payments, you should start with a mild past due letter to remind him, perhaps alluding that he may have forgotten the due date of his payment. With this letter, you should definitely include a duplicate invoice stamped, past due. While making these moves, you can collect evidence in case it becomes necessary to take the matter to court. Call the debtor. This method, handled properly, can have surprisingly successful results. For best results, have another person on the line to witness the conversation. In case the debtor denies the call, you have a witness who can testify otherwise and/or a recording. 2 weeks later, send a second letter, this one more strongly worded than the first but at the same time in a dignified and courteous tone. The important thing here is to leave him an opening to voice a legitimate complaint if he has one, but at the same time demanding some sort of communication from him about this matter. Should you still not receive payment or any word from your debtor, send still another letter, your third, in which you apply a bit more pressure and appeal to his sense of fair play. Mention his credit rating and let him know that if he doesn't pay, you will be forced to turn his account over to a collection agency. However, never make threats you don't intend to carry out. Finally, 2 weeks after you've sent out your third letter and you still haven't heard from him, automatically turn his account over to a collection agency. No one likes to be on a collection agency's list, and once your customer finds out that you will indeed turn their accounts over to an outside agency for collection, they will quickly accept the fact that you're running a tight ship and not try to use you for a soft touch. If the debtor is a business, file a complaint with the BBB or the trade organization in which the debtor is a member. Make sure you stick to the facts in order to avoid being sued for libel. They may be able to arbitrate it. If it's a large amount of money, you can either sue in small claims court or hire a lawyer to file a civil case against them for non-payment of bills. Try this creative method. In this case, the amount of the debt is $27.39. After the first 3 or 4 statements have been ignored, and the account has stopped frequenting the store and taken his business elsewhere, the store sends out a statement showing an amount due of $73.29. There may also be a statement to the effect that this account is long past due and legal action will have to be taken if the entire account is not paid up immediately. The debtor might immediately call the store and is put through to the manager. He calms down the debtor and tells him that nobody wants to take advantage of him or cheat him. He suggests that the guy bring all his records to the office and that he, the manager, will personally get the matter straightened out. The guy brings his records to the store and the manager examines the records, checks his own and agrees that the correct amount owed is only $27.39 and not $73.29. The dude pays up the account or at least makes a partial payment. If he doesn't do this voluntarily, the manager convinces him. This is probably the first time that the guy has been back in the store since running up the unpaid bill. The creditor has been doubly penalized. He not only doesn't get his money but also loses out on future business because the debtor goes elsewhere for his purchases. At this point, the manager must make a decision. Since everybody is quite friendly at the moment, the account is paid up and the guy is happy that he is not being charged for approximately $50 more than he actually owed, it would be quite easy to get him back on the books with another purchase. The manager must decide whether or not this would be wise. There is always the possibility that our debtor just doesn't have the money to pay off his bill. In this event, the manager may suggest that he leave something of value as collateral until the debt is paid. Be consistent in your collection procedures and don't allow special favors. Set up a regular routine for collecting from past due accounts and then stick with that procedure. Unless you have supporting evidence to show that you have attempted to collect your bad debts, the IRS will disallow you to write them off as a business loss. Your collection letters should contain the date, name/address of the debtor, a description of the merchandise involved or the services rendered and the amount due. It's also a very good idea to include a self-addressed reply envelope in order to make it easy for him to mail his check. Something else to consider is the use of imprinted envelopes with the phrase address correction requested, so the post office will provide you with a forwarding address in case he has moved. In almost all cases, you should address your letter to a specific person, not to either the purchasing department or the company in general. It should be your endeavor to try to continue your relationship with the person who signed authorization for the purchase in the first place. Your letters should be firm but reasonable and should leave the debtor an opportunity to set up a schedule of payments or an honorable way out of his financial problems. You or one of your agents might make a personal visit to see him and discuss the reasons why he hasn't paid, but if he doesn't want to talk to you and orders you off his property, you must not argue or attempt to reason with him. The only thing you can do in such a situation is to leave without further words. When you visit the debtor and he offers a partial payment, by all means accept it. Start by demanding the whole amount, but be ready to accept whatever he offers and work out some sort of payment schedule from there. If you can't collect the money, try bartering. Trade the price of your bill for something he has that you can either use, sell, or trade. Only as a last resort should you attempt to take back the merchandise you sold him. If the debtor claims to have mailed you a check more than a few days ago, long enough for the check to have reached you, demand that he stop payment on it and issue a new check. Above all else, keep cool and don't argue or become threatening towards him. To get results, collection letters should be distinctive. Some companies use a special letterhead printed in red ink which attracts the eye better than any other color and gets maximum attention. At the same time, a great many of the collection agencies say that smaller than standard sized paper, plus the use of paper that feels and looks expensive, always gets better results. Never use humor in a collection letter. If you do, your recipient won't take your collection efforts seriously. Maintain a sense of urgency, but don't imply that you're angry. Serious, yes, but angry, no. You should send out your letters over planned intervals, about once every 10 days or 2 weeks. This will work in your favor because when several creditors are on a debtor's heels, he generally responds the fastest to whoever is the most insistent. Be sure you don't ever defame a debtor in writing. To do so will give him a chance to get you for libel. To always make sure you're within your legal rights when trying to collect a bad debt, keep these rules in mind. Address yourself only to the person responsible for the bill that's owed. Billing service, collect overdue accounts. You can outsource your billing and collection to companies that offer this service. ReplaceIcon.com, Person9.com, Medicabilling.com, emsbilling.us/emsbilling/index.jsp, billspastdue.com/collectionservices/collectionservices.html, lawpena.com, arsolutions.com, a2cb.com/collection/callbrochure.html, expertcollections.com/faq.html, wowrack.com, urs-inc.com, onecollectionagency.com, apsfinancial.com/apsbilling/billing/collections.aspx, collection-agency-information.com, petroclassics.com/pe/collections/collections_agency, aabilling.com, crcollects.com, quotecatcher.com, Business Debt Collection Agency quotes 5 Business Debt Collection Agency price quotes. ByronDavis.com, Delaware. Collect.org. Buyerzone.com/finance/collections. QuadTechBillingServices.com/collections.asp. Collections.alloptions.com. Collectionsreporting.com. ElectronicMedBilling.com/default.htm. mbb.a1-medical-billing.com/medical billing insurance. Collecting money websites. A factoring company buys your accounts receivable for a fee agreed upon by the two of you, then owns them and is free to collect them any way he or she sees fit as long as it's legal. Most collection companies work on a commission basis. You pay nothing upfront. You only pay them a percentage of what they recover. llrx.com/column/roundup18.htm, federal, state and commercial bill tracking resources. usacreditrecovery.com. creditorlaw.com/lawyer, Michigan. invrecovery.org. recoverycollections.com, Greenville, TN. irs-inc.org. certifiedinvestmentrecovery.com. fraudrecoverycenter.com. financingresourceno.com. abs2bkkp.com/index.html, associated bookkeeping services. aegisfactor.com. allbusiness.com/accounting-reporting/accounts-receivable. allbusiness.com/accounting-reporting/664590-1.html. allbusiness.com/accounts-receivable. allbusiness.com/buying-exiting-business/selling-a-business/297555114-1.html, how to collect outstanding accounts receivable when closing a business. allfreelancework.com/artkleberstein.php, the inability to collect money in a timely manner is a leading reason for small business failures. allfreelancework.com/articlefinleg4getmoney.php. alliedAccountServices.com, New York firm collects for all industries and purchases delinquent receivables. Amazon.com, book Collect Your Money, a guide to collecting outstanding accounts receivable for your business by Cody Flecker. Amazon.com, book Show Me the Money, how to collect your accounts receivable by Randall E. Gusdorf and David J. Kozany. Amazon.com/become-squeaky-collections-collecting/DP/0970664516. Amazon.com/collect-your-money-collecting-hour-standing/DP/1890168181, Collect Your Money, a guide to collecting outstanding accounts receivable for your business. AMScollects.com, Delinquent Accounts Receivable Debt Collection Agency. Answers.com/topic/accounts-receivable. ASCME.net/index.htm, Business Credit Collection Services. BDC.ca, Articles about Accounts Receivable. BernsteinLaw.com/QA/QA040htm. BizJournals.com/St. Louis/stories/2005/05/16/small-b1.html, don't just make the sale, collect the money. BoulderCollect.com/business.html. bpubs.com/finance_and_accounting/receivables_management. bsjournal.com/news/articles/060809-7/news/p-finance_voltrats.html, Broad Street Journal Taming the Vault Rats. bumchecks.com, collect money on bounced checks. business.com/directory/accounting/accounts_receivable_r. businessfinance.com/account-receivable-credit-line.htm. Trowbridge Collection Agency. businessfinance.com/commercial-account-receivable-financing.htm. businessknowhow.com/money. businessknowhow.com/money/webcheckcollect.htm. canada1.com/magazine/debt_collection.html. ccaacollect.com/accounts-receivable-outsourcing.htm. ciscocollect.com, Accounts Receivable Management. cognos.com, Accounts Receivable Analysis. cohenandpratt.com, Debt Collection. collectar.com/seminar.htm, Accounts Receivable Collection Seminar. collectdebt.com. collectionlawyers.com/accounts-receivable.htm. contractingbusiness.com/25/sitemaps/article/false/7269, collect accounts receivable fast. credit-connection.com, Collection Bureau of America, licensed to collect in all 50 states. directpay.ca, offers a convenient way to collect and/or distribute money, for rent collection, payroll, or bill payments. ecomhelp.com/kb/finance/collect-your-money-on-time.htm. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/faithpay, method of letting the customer pay on faith. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/practice_management, helps you manage your accounts. Ensuring collection on accounts receivable. Entrepreneur.com. Entrepreneur.com, go to billing and collections. entrepreneur.com/money/money management /financial analysis /article 21940.html expresscollectllc.com easinarticles.com article how to collect your past due accounts receivable easinarticles.com/accounts receivable collection &ID =1465779 easinarticles.com/accounts receivable jobs &ID =1466691 factoring.qlfs.com/html/accounts _receivable financing.html factoring101.info financial-dictionary.thefreedictionary.com/accounts +receivable +ar findaseminar.com/training1.asp event ID =951 training how to legally collect accounts receivable class fightsinc.com fightsinc.com/collection_services.htm ftc.gov/bcp/conlani/pub/credit/fcb.htm fair credit billing ftc.gov/os/statutes/fdcpa/fdcpac.htm the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act gabler.com/collecting-business-debts.htm gabler.com/collecting-from-deadbeats.htm gbcfactor.com/services1.html factoring company gordonbrothers.com accounts receivable gotlinks.com/e-articles/30278-collect-money-on-time_.html hamercollect.com debt recovery law firm ifgnetwork.com knowledge-shop.info/blog/free-small-business-checking/1408 how to collect the money lawguru.com articles about collecting money microsoft.com article collect on debt 5 ways to make them pay milestechnologies.com/services_appdev_acme.asp money.business.sohu.com/collect morebusiness.com/running_your_business/financing how to collect your money morebusiness.com/running_your_business/financing/a_cold-dbt.brc mpcscollect.com/index.html medical and professional collection services mrtec.com nes1.com National Enterprise Systems collects past due debts and accounts receivable netsuite.com/portal/industries/wd/finance_rec.shtml software nfib.com nfib.com/page/debts-collections.html nrs.us nrs.us/accounts_receivable_co-sourcing.php powerhomeabies.com/vol137/receivable.htm premierglobal.com/accounts-receivables accounts receivables management pscinfogroup.com/solutions/accts receivable pscinfogroup.com/solutions/data express/collect scicollect.com commercial collection agency reddingcollect.com accounts receivable management company smallbusiness.dnb.com/collect-debt/browse-products.asp smallbusiness.dnb.com/collect-debt/duns-demand-letter-detail.asp smart90.com/pacificsunrise.org accounts receivable facilitators techcollect.com accounts receivable toolkit.cch.com top7business.com/question-top-to-collect-past-due-accounts-receivable&id =3560 top 7 ways to collect past due accounts receivable tracking past due accounts Transformind.com/explore/business-finance. Transfac.com/index.cfm. uschamber.com/sb/business/p06/p06_2725.asp. wecollectbills.com/receivable.htm. wecollectmoney.com. whitneybank.com/businessbanking/bb_tm_collect_payments.asp. doccs.com, debt recovery software for collection agencies, medical facilities, utilities, and credit bureaus. Collection agency websites. You could hire the following companies to attempt to collect on money owed to you. acainternational.org, Association of Credit and Collection Professionals. cajp.org, 661-664-0767, California Association of Judgment Professionals. teleport.com/rich/collection.html, list of collection agencies. advinfoc.com/collection-agency-resources. metagenci.com. portfoliorecovery.com. usacreditrecovery.com. moneycontrol.net, collection agency, Riverside, California. debtsellers.us. expressrecovery.com. collectionagencyservices.net. abccompanies.com. alliedcredco.com. collecto.com. dnbcollections.com. nes1.com. socalmall.com/assetforfeiture, 888-4asset4. site96.com. tcmgroup.com. American Collectors Association. 4040 West 70th Street. epub 39106. Minneapolis, Minnesota 55439. 612-926-6547. Fax, 612-926-1624. aca@collector.com. collector.com. Association of Credit and Collection Professionals. epub 39106. Minneapolis, Minnesota 55439. acainternational.org. Professional Collector Magazine. Cadmus Custom Pub. 101 Huntington Avenue, 13th FL. Boston, Massachusetts 02199-7603. 617-424-7700. Fax, 617-437-7714. ProCollector@cadmusecustom.com. cadmusecustom.com. Chapter 4. Money Collection Issues. Bad Checks 1. All businesses receive bad checks at one time or another. Generally, a bad check is returned to your bank because the person who issued the check has insufficient funds in their checking account. The best way to prevent losing money because of a bad check is to hold up the shipment of the order until you're certain the check is valid. Simply wait approximately 15 working days before shipping the order. This is especially true of larger orders, say orders over $20, orders received from new customers whose credit record is unknown to you, and if the check looks suspicious for any reason. When you receive a check that bounces, the best way to handle the situation is to write a polite note telling the check writer that their check has been returned due to insufficient funds, or whatever reason your bank gives. Include a photocopy of their check as proof. Do not return the original check since you will need this as evidence. If you receive no reaction after the first notice, send 2 more, approximately 2 weeks apart. Be firmer in your second and third letters. If the check writer ignores all 3 notices, write to the bank of origin and request the bank to hold the check for collection and include the check. If you cannot collect on the bad check, all is not lost. If your business is properly registered with your state government and IRS, you can always declare bad checks on your income tax as a legitimate tax deduction. Real checks have at least one perforated edge. Forgeries are sometimes cut out copies from a color copier, but increasingly with the advent of high-tech graphics software, A lot of people can forge checks very easily via the computer, so be wary regardless of how good the check looks. Some people steal checks in the mail, put them in a chemical solution that gets rid of the written ink but leaves everything else intact, then simply write in what they want. If you get a check that looks like it was wet then dried out, beware. The print on real checks is supposed to be dull. Forgeries have shiny print. As a business owner, you'll get customers who'll come up to you and ask you to take a check. One con artist I saw on TV said he used to dress up in a suit, carry a briefcase and hit stores around lunchtime always asking them to take his checks. Even though he had fake IDs, many store owners didn't even ask, and some of his purchases were up to $10,000 like at jewelry stores. Your best defense is to put up a sign in a highly visible place that says, "No personal checks." Even businesses that you deal with may try to scam you. The general procedure for a check forger is to open a new account, get the checks and write as many as he can in about a week, then move on to a new identity. Hence, new checks in an account, usually numbered 101. 150 are the most susceptible. If you accept checks, the key items on a check should be examined closely because they can tip off the owner/manager to a worthless one. Your procedures should also include a dollar limit on the size of checks you will accept and the type of identification necessary to back up the signature or endorsement. In addition, it is profitable to review with employees the checks which the bank refuses to honor. The specialist in payroll checks will fill out blank ones which he or she has stolen. The passer of government checks is also a thief. He steals Social Security checks, tax refund checks and so on from individual mailboxes. Blank check Bessie will hit her victim after the banks have closed. These three and others who pass worthless checks are clever. They live by their wits and are often glib talkers. Winning the battle of wits against bad check passers is largely a matter of knowledge and vigilance. You have to know what you're up against, pass the information on to your employees and be constantly on guard when accepting checks. You are apt to get 7 different kinds of checks: personal, two-party, payroll, government, blank, counter and travelers, and some customers may offer money orders. A personal check is written and signed by the individual offering it. The individual makes it out to you or your firm. A two-party check is issued by one person, the maker, to a second person who endorses it so that it may be cashed by a third person. This type of check is susceptible to fraud because, for one thing, the maker can stop payment at the bank. A payroll check is issued to an employee for wages or salary earned. Usually the name of the employer is printed on it and it has a number and is signed. In most instances, payroll is also printed on the check. The employee's name is printed by a check writing machine or typed. In metropolitan areas, you should not cash a payroll check that is hand-printed, rubber-stamped, or typewritten as a payroll check, even if it appears to be issued by a local business and drawn on a local bank. It may be a different story in a small community where you know the company officials and the employee personally. A government check can be issued by the federal government, a state, a county, or a local government. Such checks cover salaries, tax refunds, pensions, welfare allotments and veterans benefits, to mention a few examples. You should be particularly cautious with government checks. Often they are stolen and the endorsement has been forged. In some areas, such thievery is so great that some banks refuse to cash Social Security, welfare, relief, or income tax checks unless the customer has an account with the bank. You should follow this procedure also. In short, know your endorser. A blank check, sometimes known as a universal check, is no longer acceptable to most banks due to the Federal Reserve Board regulations that prohibit standard processing without the encoded characters. This universal check may be used, but it requires a special collection process by the bank and incurs a special cost. A counter check is still used by a few banks and is issued to depositors when they are withdrawing funds from their accounts. It is not good anywhere else. Sometimes a store has its own counter checks for the convenience of its customers. A counter check is not negotiable and is so marked. A traveler's check is a check sold with a pre-printed amount, usually in round figures, to travelers who do not want to carry large amounts of cash. The traveler signs the checks at the time of purchase and should countersign the check only in the presence of the person who cashes them. A money order can be passed as a check, however, a money order is usually sent in the mail. Most stores should not accept money orders in face-to-face transactions. Some small stores sell money orders. If yours does, never accept a personal check in payment for money orders. If the purchaser has a valid checking account, why does he or she need a money order? The check is possibly no good. A check carries several key items such as name and location of bank, date, amount, in figures and spelled out, and signature. Close examination of such key items can sometimes tip you off to a worthless check. Before accepting a check, look for non-local banks. Use extra care in examining a check that is drawn on a non-local bank and require positive identification. List the customer's local and out-of-town address and phone number on the back of the check. Date. Examine the date for accuracy of day, month, and year. Do not accept the check if it's not dated, if it's post-dated or if it's more than 30 days old. Location. Look first to be sure that the check shows the name, branch, town, and state where the bank is located. Amount. Be sure that the numerical amount agrees with the written amount. Legibility. Do not accept a check that is not written legibly. It should be written and signed in ink and must not have any erasures or written over amounts. Payee. When you take a personal check on your selling floor, have the customer make it payable to your firm. Special care should be used in taking a two-party check. Amount of purchase. Personal checks should be for the exact amount of the purchase. The customer should receive no change. Checks over your limit. Set a limit on the amount depending on the amount of your average sale. When a customer wants to go beyond that limit, your sales clerk should refer the customer to you. Low sequence numbers. Be more cautious with low sequence numbers. Experience indicates that there seems to be a higher number of these checks that are returned. Most banks who issue personalized checks begin the numbering system with 101 and numbering sequence when a customer reorders new checks. Dollar amount of check. Most bad check passers pass checks in the $25 to $35 range on the assumption that the retailer will be more cautious when accepting a larger check. Types of merchandise purchased. Be watchful of the types of merchandise purchased. Random sizes, selections, lack of concern about prices by customers, should indicate to you that a little more caution should be exercised when a check is offered as payment. Once you are satisfied that the check is okay, the question is whether the person holding the check is the right person. Requiring identification helps you to answer the question, but keep in mind that no identification is foolproof. A crook is a crook no matter what type of identification you ask to see. If the person wants to forge identification, he or she can. Some stores demand at least 2 pieces of identification. It is important to get enough identification so the person presenting the check can be identified and located if and when the check turns out to be worthless. The following types of identification should be useful in determining the type to use in your store. Current automobile operator's license. If licenses in your state do not carry a photograph of the customer, you may want to ask for a second identification. Automobile registration card. Be sure the name of the state agrees with the location of the bank. If it doesn't, the customer should be able to explain why they don't agree. Also make sure that the signatures on the registration and check agree. Shopping plates. If they bear a signature or laminated photograph, shopping plates or other credit cards can be used as identification. The Retail Merchants Organization in some communities issues lists of stolen shopping plates to which you should always refer when identifying the check passer. Government passes can also be used for identification in cashing checks. Picture passes should carry the name of the employing department and a serial number. Building passes should also carry a signature. Identification cards such as those issued by the armed services, police departments, and companies, should carry a photo, a description, and a signature. Police cards should also carry a badge number. Several types of cards and documents are not good identification. Some of them, for example, club cards, are easily forged, and others, for example, customers' duplicate sales checks, were never intended for identification. Unless they are presented with a current automobile operator's license, do not accept the following: Social Security cards, business cards, club or organization cards, bank books, work permits, insurance cards, learner's permits, letters, birth certificates, library cards, initial jewelry, unsigned credit cards, voters' registration cards, customers' duplicate cards. Some large stores photograph each person who cashes a check along with the identification. This procedure is a deterrent because bad check passers don't want to be photographed. Some stores, when in doubt about a check, will verify an address and telephone number in the local telephone directory or with the information operator. Someone intending to pass a bad check will not necessarily be at the address shown on the check. If the address and telephone number cannot be verified, the check should be considered a potentially bad check. Compare signatures. Regardless of the type of identification you require, it is essential that you and your employees compare the signature on the check with the one on the identification. You should also compare the person standing before you with the photograph and/or description on the identification. Bad checks too. You should set a policy for cashing checks, write it down and instruct your employees in its use. Your policy might require your approval before a sales clerk can cash a check. When all checks are handled alike, customers have no cause to feel that they are being treated unfairly. Your procedure might include the use of a rubber stamp. Many stores stamp the lower reverse side of a check and write in the appropriate information. Here is a sample of such a stamp. Salesperson, name and no. Off. Signature. Customer's address. Home phone. Business phone. Ident. No. 1. Ident. No. 2. Department. No. Amount of sale. Your policy might also include verifying a check through the bank that issued the check. Some banks will do this only if you are a depositor in the bank. It might be helpful to establish business accounts in several banks, particularly where many of your customers have accounts. You may want to verify a check through a check verification service. Should you contract with such a service, or if you receive lists of bad check passers, ask the service to show you proof from the Federal Trade Commission that their service is in compliance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Employee apathy toward accepting checks is a big reason why stores get stuck with bad checks. The bigger the store, the more difficult it is to keep employees interested in catching bad checks. One effective way is to show employees your bad checks. Refusing a check. Review your policy and procedure on check cashing frequently with your employees. Remind them of what to look for to spot bad checks. You are not obligated to take anyone's check. Even when a stranger presents satisfactory identification, you do not have to accept the check. In most cases, you accept a check when the customer has met your identification requirements. You want to make the sale but never accept a check if the person presenting it appears to be intoxicated. Never take a check if the customer acts suspiciously. For example, the customer may try to rush you or your employees while you are checking identification. Never take a check that is dated in advance. Never discriminate when refusing a check. Don't tell a customer that you can't accept a check because he or she is a college student or lives in a bad neighborhood, etc. If you do, you may be in violation of a state or federal law on discrimination. Whether or not you recover any money lost on a bad check depends on the person who gave it to you. He or she may be one of your best customers who inadvertently gave you a check when the funds in his or her bank account were insufficient. On the other end of the scale, he or she may be a forger. Once you are stuck with a bad check, here are some of the situations you face. Insufficient funds. Most checks returned because of insufficient funds clear the second time you deposit them. Notify the customer that his or her account is overdrawn and that you are redepositing the check. But if the check is returned a second time, in the localities, it is the retailer's collection problem and you must try to get the maker to honor the check by paying immediately. You should check the practices of your bank. In some areas, for example, after a second return for insufficient funds, the bank will not let you redeposit the check. It is your collection problem. Some stores prosecute if the customer does not redeem such a check within a week of the second return. Stores with a reputation for being easygoing about insufficient funds checks usually get plenty of them. The procedure for prosecution depends on the state. In one jurisdiction, for example, a merchant must send the check writer a certified or registered notice of an intention to prosecute. The bad check writer then has 5 days from date of receipt of that notice to comply before the merchant can prosecute. In another jurisdiction, the maker has 5 days after the date of notice to make the check good. In a third, a resident has 10 days to make good on the check. No account. Usually you've lost when the bank returns a check marked no account. Such a check is evidence of a swindle or a fraud unless there has been an extraordinary error. In rare instances, a customer may issue a check on the wrong bank or on a discontinued account. You should quickly determine what the circumstances are. If the person is known in the community, proceed with your collection efforts. If you find yourself stuck with the check, call your police department. Closed account. A check marked closed account is a warning of extreme carelessness or fraud. Accounts are closed by both individuals and by banks. The latter may close an account because of too many overdrafts. An individual may open a new account by removing funds from an old account. In such case, the individual may forget that he or she has issued a check that is still outstanding against the old account. If you don't get your money back within a reasonable time, you should consider prosecuting the check writer. Forgery. Forged checks are worthless, a total loss to you. Watch out for smudged checks, misspelled words, poor spacing of letters or numbers indicating that changes may have been made. Payroll checks with the company's name and address typed in could be fraudulent. Most payroll checks are printed. When you suspect forgery, call the police. Thus, you can help yourself and others against further forgery. Refer a U.S. government check to the field office of the U.S. Secret Service, ustrees.gov/treasurybureau/us. Check with your lawyer about court collection practices in your area. In the Washington, D.C. area, for example, merchants cannot collect through the courts on bad checks used to pay on an open account. The reason is the merchant still has the account and no injury was suffered through the issuance of the check. The account may be collectible through the usual civil procedures used for collection purposes. Any alteration, illegal signature, of the maker of the check, a forgery of the endorsement, an erasure or an obliteration on a genuine check is a crime. A bad check issued to pay for merchandise is not a theft but a misdemeanor. It is an exchange, the checks for goods. A misdemeanor carries a lighter penalty than a theft since a check may be collectible through civil procedures. Criminal action may be taken through signing a formal charge with the police. A forged check transported in interstate commerce is a federal offense. Get evidence. You cannot prosecute bad check passers without good evidence. The person who cashed the bad check should be positively identified and connected with the receiving of money for it. Check verification bureaus. Just like there are credit reporting agencies, so too are there check verification services that can immediately check up on someone passing a check, either over the phone or through a computer database. You telephone or email the details and they check them against their database. They check on the name used and match it to their database of social security numbers to see if they match. With this, they have immediate access to the person's credit report plus they have a database of known bad check passers which they compare against the name they are currently investigating. Some but not all check verification services are tapped into the bank records of most checking accounts in the United States such that they know immediately if there is money in the account to cover the check. These agencies work on the same principle as CRAs but for checks. These companies are bound by the credit protection laws. Many of the bill collection agencies and credit reporting agencies also do check verification services. There are some complaints about these check verification agencies because some don't have current data, so they reject people who have money in their accounts. 1stcheck.com/cs-electronic-check-recovery-central.asp. achespaymentsystems.com. acheckAmerica.com/social_security_verification.html. banktech.net/checkverification.html. cardprocessor.com. cbdl.net, Credit Bureau of Detroit Lakes. mcbguam.com/checkverificationsystem.htm. checkcare.com. checkcare.com, San Jose, CA. checkconnection.biz. checkgateway.com/fraud-protection.html. checkmatic.com. checkmatic.com/nsf_service.html. checkverification.org. citycredit.net. clverify.com. debtcheck.com/associationlinks.htm. equifax.com. equifax.com, 800-437-5120. getitpaid.com/debt-collection-dir20.htm. hncs.com, check fraud detection system software. ilovechecks.com/verification/pricing.html. e1tmymoney.com/ecb/credit checking/consumer_credechecking.asp. lionsreg.com/solutions/sdk.asp. mentor.com/questa. nationalchecknetwork.net. natsb.com, National Screening Bureau. paybycheck.com. paymentsolutions.com. remwarecs.com. remwarecs.com/rcs_cms.html. rentcheckcorp.com/services. securichecking.com. unitedcheckcashing.com, 800-626-0787, check cashing business. verificationbureau.com. yellowpagesnationwide.com, go to check verification services. National Check Fraud Center. POB 80171. Charleston, South Carolina 29414. 843-571-2143. Fax, 843-571-4349. ckfraud.org. Check Payment Systems Association. Washington, D.C. 20036-3309. 2025 M Street, NW. Number 800. 202-367-1144. Fax, 202-367-2144. info@cps-checks.org. cps-checks.org. Telecheck. 5251 Westheimer Road. Houston, Texas 77056-5412. 800-835-3243. 713-331-7600. Telecheck.com. Certegy. 800-215-6280. CheckRight. 800-766-2748. Check Systems. 800-428-9623. Crosscheck. 707-586-0551. 707-586-0431. Equifax Check Systems. 800-437-5120. International Check Services. 800-526-5380. 800-631-9999. 9656. National Processing. 800-526-5380. National Check Fraud Service. 843-571-2143. Scan. 800-262-7771. Conditional Sales Contracts. The conditional sales contract is a good technique used by companies selling expensive items such as furniture, major appliances, automobiles, etc. In the event that the debtor either refuses to pay or a judgment is awarded to the seller, then the seller can repossess his property. In essence, title to the merchandise remains with the seller until the bill is entirely paid. If the purchaser resells the merchandise that has not been fully paid for, the seller has some recourse. It would probably be a good idea for all merchants to have a simple sentence added to the bottom of all invoices. This might read, title to the above merchandise remains with the seller until bill is paid in full. This, followed by the buyer's signature, should offer much more protection than most businesses now have. Extending credit. Extending credit for retail customers and your business contracts may be honorable, but if you're a small fry who needs the money, the credit you give to your customers for goods bought today paid on in 6 months will destroy you. You need the money. Don't offer too much credit when starting out. There is a way that you can offer easy payment or credit privileges to your good customers. Just don't advertise it. Instead, pick the top customers you have that order from you quite often and always pay their bills on time. Then, if you can financially afford to absorb the cost, offer them credit privileges because of their past history and customer patronage. The customer will feel honored that you have selected them for this honor and will trust that you really and sincerely appreciate them. More than likely, they will order more products and services than they previously did simply because they can now say charge it and are a part of only a select few. The best business in order to establish customer credit card privileges is a service business. Your overhead costs are minimal and you can absorb the cost of the product. The good thing about offering payment plans and credit options to your good customers is that you can even out your weekly income. In mail order and small business operations, you can experience one good week and one bad week. Oftentimes, you never know exactly how much money you will bring in. Incomes that fluctuate from one extreme to the next every month make it very hard to plan business expenditures and prohibit growth. If you know you have 10 customers sending a minimum payment on their account of at least $20 this month, you can relatively bank on a $200 income this month. But not knowing day to day what income you will receive is a phase all of us live through, and all of us must find ways to even out our particular flow. Business is a continual learning experience. What works for one person may not always work for another. It's important to gather a wide variety of ideas and mix them for your own workable combination. Late payers. Penalize for late payments. Get on late payers right way. If they procrastinate, they're bad customers, dump them. You have to run a tight ship. Don't keep giving a guy credit hoping he will pay. He will probably end up bailing. Charge a late penalty of $20 or so plus an interest late fee of 2% per month. Charge back customers who take discounts after the discount periods, which some will try to do. Take the discount even though they're paying past the discount period. Follow up on late payers with phone calls and letters. These may seem a bit extreme, but the first letter should go out the very day the amount is 1 day late. After 30 days late, start this sequence. Send out a letter from your attorney, turn over the account to a collection agency, use a collection attorney. Don't send out new merchandise if bills remain unpaid. Remember that bad debts hurt your bottom line. Be vigilant and try to get at least periodic payments from slow payers. Charge late payment interest penalties. For every day that an account is overdue, tack on interest and present it in the monthly statement as a separate charge. If your customer depends on you for regular product, cut him off until he pays up in full. Constantly remind overdue accounts that you want your money. After the second letter, cut off shipping any more product. After the third, threaten to send the bill to a collection agency, which will help destroy their credit rating and may be a motivator for them to pay up. But in business, you will occasionally lose money. It's a regular part of doing business, especially in a service field like surveying. Once you do the job, the customer gets what he wants and you have no recourse against him other than small claims or civil court, unlike a goods business where you have products the customer might desperately need. Once the account is 60 days old, call the customer a few times to ask him or her what's going on. Don't go for the check is in the mail bit. Tell them to cancel the one in the mail and you will send someone over to pick it up right away. If the customer says that the check will be ready on a particular day, call on that day to stay on him. If it's far away, tell him you will pay for the overnight courier delivery of it. If you do get stuck with a bill more than 90 days overdue, try to get the customer to agree to a partial payment plan. If you can't get that, threaten to sue or simply allow a collection agency to handle the matter, who will take a cut of whatever money they recover, if any. Methods of payment. Consumers want choices in how they pay for their purchases. The more choices you provide, the more sales you will make. Cash is the best way to pay for things and everyone still likes to get it because it's real, unlike checks and electronic payments that could be frauds. Some retailers even offer a 2 to 5% discount for all customers who pay by cash. The big problem with cash is the temptation for employees who work the cash register to steal it and for your store to get robbed if they see all the cash. Don't keep much cash laying around. Get some security features to your business. Some pawn shops are permanently locked. The owner takes a look at you and decides if he wants to buzz you in. The easiest time of day to get robbed is when you're leaving your store with the daily take. Some store owners always leave the store in twos. One guy goes out to the car, parks it in front of the shop, then the other guys comes out and gets in. Don't leave much cash in the store. You could put a sign up saying there is no more than $50 in the cash register at any time. Whenever some convenience stores get a large bill, the cashier sends into a chute-like device similar to the ones some banks use to send money to customers in drive-through bays. Make your daily bank deposits during daylight hours or bring the cash home and deposit it the next morning. Paper checks are not a good idea for a retail business in my opinion, but if you take them, ask to see a picture ID and write the customer's driver's license number on the back. If the amount of a personal check is more than $200, refuse it. Ask the buyer to get a certified check from his bank. Even these are forged. Credit cards are good for business, but the problem is that it takes time before the merchant is actually credited with the money. He's paying a percentage fee for every transaction and the credit card companies don't even waste time investigating chargebacks. He has to eat all the charges his customers dispute for one reason or another. Still, credit cards can increase your sales up to 100%, so any business worth its salt takes credit cards, particularly if you are mail order/internet sales. In order to open a credit card merchant account, start by visiting your bank or credit union. If they refuse you for one reason or another, contact a merchant account provider who will set you up for a higher fee than the bank. If your credit is good, the bank should give you merchant credit card status. If your credit is poor, you may have to provide a substantial security deposit. Many small start UPS have no operating history and a small sales volumes. This makes it difficult to get merchant credit card status. The next best option is to piggyback on another's account. There are services out there catering to small businesses on the internet who will process all your sales through their merchant account in exchange for a fee per transaction, so, for now anyway, you don't need your own merchant credit card account. You use them. Another positive feature of merchant credit card status is your ability to sell products on an installment plan like the shopping TV networks and infomercials do. If you have something relatively expensive for sale like a widget that sells for $100, instead of only offering the option to pay $100 in full, you can offer to debit their credit card by $33.33 per month for 3 months. The fees to set up a merchant credit card account are as follows. Setup and application fees, $300 to $1,000. Equipment and software purchases, $200 to $1,000. Equipment and software leases, $25 to $100 per month. Administration and statement fees, $10 to $100 per month. Processing and transaction fees, 2 to 8% of total sales. There are also chargeback fees over and above losing the credit of the product which is debited from your account. Like a bounced check, it can cost anywhere from $5 to $20. New customers. You should definitely investigate each new customer's credit rating before you advance him any credit. Tell him of your credit terms verbally and print them on your bills, and also state the customers are liable for reasonable collection fees. Don't give new customers credit. Deal in upfront payments only until you get to know them a bit. If they want credit, run a credit check on them for about $20 through a credit reporting agency. Have a credit application for new customers and possibly charge them for the credit check, which I've seen some businesses, but if it's a potential big contract and you nickel and dime the guy who could be a good customer, he might think you're chicken shit and do business elsewhere. Credit ratings aren't necessarily reliable. Even good businesses, especially cyclical ones like Christmas trees whose market is just in December, or luxury goods which people just buy in good times, can go through hard times when the economy doesn't go their way. You have to be flexible and see every potential customer one-on-one as who he is as a real entity. For high-risk customers, start them off with a low credit limit and take it from there. Check the financial health of a new customer before offering them credit. Get a credit check done through a local credit reporting agency. Ask a new customer for business references and call them.